So we are quickly approaching the holiday of holidays, which is Shavuot. And the reason it's the holiday of holidays is because without Shavuot, we wouldn't know anything about holidays. We wouldn't know that there's a Pesach or a Sukkot or a Rosh Hashanah or a Yom Kippur. The reason we know about it is because there was a Shavuot. The Torah was given, and the Torah tells us which days are holy and what makes them holy and what type of holiness, so that we know the difference between Pesach and Sukkot. Pesach, you're not allowed to eat whatever you want. Sukkot, you're not allowed to eat wherever you want. There's a difference, right? Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to eat anything. So you got to know the difference. But Shavuot really is our anniversary. The Gemara says it's the day of our wedding. It was like the mountain was the chuppah, special effects. We didn't have a camera, but we did have lighting. So there was lightning and there was thunder, and it was quite an event. And what happened was two things. Like in a marriage, there is the part that is volitional, and there is the part that is beyond our control. You have to say yes. You have to agree. It's got to be free will. Otherwise, it's not a marriage, it's slavery. At the same time, we know that just because we want to marry somebody doesn't mean it's going to be a marriage. The marriage has to be made in heaven. It has to be predestined, and you have to be part of the same soul to begin with, so that it's really a reunion and not just an agreed upon union. So you have both parts. So we see at the giving of the Torah, first God asks us, will you accept my mitzvahs? Will you accept my Torah? Will you be my people? And we said yes, willingly, enthusiastically. We said yes before we even heard what the mitzvahs were, which is beautiful. But then we're told that God held a mountain over our head and said, you got to do this. You don't have a choice. So the obvious question is, once we already agreed willingly to do it, enthusiastically, what was the need to hold the mountain over our heads and tell us that we don't have a choice? When God says to us, you don't have a choice, because if you don't say yes, you're going to die, your life will be over. We have to be really sensitive and wise to read between the lines. God created us, puts us into this world, and gives us a mission. I need you to do this for me. That's the Torah. We say, sure, we'll do it. God says, if you don't, you're going to die. What kind of threat is that? And really, is that the whole story? That's it? So what if we had said, you know what? Changed our mind. We don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. So what would have happened? We would have all died. So we were created to do this job. We don't want to do the job, so you're not created anymore. In other words, was the threat really a threat? Did it really have the effect we think it had? Oh, we're going to die. Oh, you better say yes. See, if that were the case, it's not worth the effort. You scare people into agreeing to something, there's nothing but trouble. If they don't really want to do it and they're intimidated into saying yes, the intimidation wears off after a while. It's very short-sighted on God's part to think that by threatening us, he is securing a guarantee or something. We know it doesn't work. Any teacher knows if you intimidate kids and force them to learn, you lose. In the long run, you lose. So, particularly, when we willingly and enthusiastically agree to it, why would he ruin it by threatening us? It ruins it.
Well,
it takes all the fun out of it. So if you read between the lines, what does it mean? If you don't accept my Torah, you're going to die here. If, God forbid, the Jewish people said no and died, whose loss would it have been? Not ours. What do we care? Would have been his loss. So what he was really saying is, not you don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. Actually, you do have a choice. You can say no and die. What am I going to do? I don't die. So if I need you for this purpose and you say no, I'm the one who's losing. So if we were sensitive and if we had a little wisdom, when God said, say yes or it's all over, he meant it's all over for me. So he was telling us that for him, this is not optional. It's not like, hey, you want to be nice to me? Yeah? Oh, great. Yeah, you said yes. Okay, nice. Nice, but you think it's optional. God had to tell us, no, it's not optional. It's like a marriage. You are the other part of my soul. I can't be without you. That guaranteed an indestructible relationship. If it's that important to him, then it's not just nice to say yes. How could you say no? How could you? So what happened at Mount Sinai was a double bond. The part that is willing, that we say willingly, which of course is subject to change. If I decide I want to, I can also decide someday that I don't want to anymore. So that's the weaker part. And then there's the part that doesn't leave room for doubt. It doesn't leave room for even a decision. This has to be. When we receive the Torah, and the event was so awesome, 50 days of preparation, counting the days, miracles to clean us up spiritually in Egypt and on the way from Egypt. Why all that? It's a nice Torah. It's a nice way to live. God is giving us good advice. He's really concerned for our welfare. So he's telling us what's best for us. And we understood that, and we said, yes, of course, we'll do it. What's all the drama? And there's a comedian who says, you know, Dr. Scholl's inserts? You know, Dr. Scholl's inserts? He says, really, even if he wasn't a doctor, putting those pads into your shoes and walking on air, I don't need a doctor to convince me, even if he wasn't a doctor. You know, some things are just like really convenient and sensible. You don't have to hold a mountain over my head. I'm in. You got me by honor your father and mother. I was in. Why all the drama? And you can ask the same question about marriage. Well, why is an anniversary a marriage anniversary? Why? So, yeah, okay, fine. This is the day we got married a long time ago. So what? What's with the drama?
To make it memorable.
Well, either it is or it isn't. It was either a wonderful wedding and you'll never forget it, or it wasn't a wonderful event. It was an event that could not have not happened. It's a little clumsy sentence, but it was not optional. See, there are very few things in the universe that are imperative. Has to be. Has to be. What has to be? There have to be stars in the heaven. Don't have to be. There have to be that many stars. Certainly not. Not for our purposes, anyway. There have to be this many animals in the world.
Yes.
You see those pictures of all these cities that are overrun with animals because the people are not in the streets. So in Thailand, I think monkeys are taking over the city streets. In France, pigs are taking over. Kangaroos. So many. Particularly mosquitoes. Really, you have to have that many mosquitoes. So what really, you want to get right down to it, you have to have so many human beings. No, you have to have any human beings at all. Is our existence absolutely necessary, imperative? It's a very important question. Because if we're not imperative, but we convince ourselves that we are, we're living a terribly false life. And if we are imperative and don't know it, we're living a terribly false life. We need to know what is imperative. You know, it's like children. I have to have this. You have to have this. You don't have to have this. What gives you the impression? You have to have this toy? And they're really convinced. Without the toy, their life is over. You say, okay, that's called childish. That's called immature. So if we think that the universe is imperative when it's not, then we're just being childish. On the other hand, if the universe is imperative and we don't think it is, we're being irresponsible. So we need to know. As a rule, the human default position is that, oh yeah, we are indispensable. My life, the most important thing. My health, next most important thing. Your health? But my health, oh, and my life, I mean, come on. God, religion, mitzvahs, yeah, if you're the type that wants to get to heaven, then this is for you. If you're not that type, then you don't need it. This is the way the world has been for 5,000 years, 5,500 years. The human being, the human condition is absolutely essential and imperative. Even some of the things we want has to be imperative. Got to do it my way. Got to have what I got to have. Got to be me. And other such beautiful songs. And God, yeah, God is good. If you're the type. So God is not imperative, but we are. Let's put it in different words. We have real needs. Needs, they have to be. Need means imperative. Want, not so imperative. But God doesn't have that kind of urgency. God is available if you're interested. And just as, he's not imperative to you, you're not imperative to him. He's an option. Nice option. Convenient to have somebody to blame for all my problems, for the imperfections in the world. Can I blame him? But it's not imperative. See, that's what God was worried about. We all said, yes, we'll do your mitzvahs. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. We're so excited. And God said, I think you're getting the wrong impression. I think you're getting the impression that this is all very nice, convenient, a little agreement between us. Like the typical marriage. I love you, you love me. Okay, let's make a big party. We'll get married. And then, if I don't like you, we'll just call it off. It'll be fun while it lasts, and then we'll move on. God says, no. I'm not interested in that kind of marriage. This is imperative. So by holding the mountain over our heads, God was revealing something of himself. To him, this is not optional. It's not like, wouldn't it be nice if you would accept my mitzvahs and keep all my commandments? No, it wouldn't be nice. It would be something much more than that. That really is what we should focus on this year. Because, you see, we've already celebrated Shavuot 3,332 times. Every year, we found a new inspiration. At least some people did. Every year, Shavuos meant something more than it did the year before. Because the Torah is so rich, so layered, that for 3,332 times, we can discover another layer. It blossoms with another petal. And we're seeing something we didn't see last year. So now, one more time, we have to find something about Shavuos that should inspire us in our time, relevant to our condition. And part of our condition is, hey, we've done this 3,332 times. What else could we be seeing that we haven't yet seen? What could possibly last that many years? What? We were so impressed that we promised God, and we're keeping the promise 3,000 years later. Why? Because we were so impressed. There is no degree of impressed that can last 3,000 years. Mostly painful years. None. There is no commitment that a human being can make that can survive 3,000 years. None. There is no stubbornness, there is no devotion that can last this long. It's not possible. Love, we love God so much. No. Love is not indestructible. So, what do we attribute this to? Anti-Semitism? We stayed Jewish because there was nothing else we could be? Nobody else wanted us? There were times that they did want us and we refused at the cost of our lives. How do we understand this? There's nothing in our makeup. There's nothing in our bag of tricks that is strong enough to produce this phenomenon. There's nothing in the human capacity that can outlast time. Nothing. So there's only one explanation. Like a marriage, it was not the result of our decision, our mutual decision. We are the same soul. We are essentially inseparable. It only looks like we're separate, but we are essentially one. And so nothing in nature can destroy this reality. A Jew and the Torah and God, we are one. No commitment can produce that, and no tragedy can destroy that. And no amount of time can destroy that. So that even when we wish to drift away, we find that we can't. We can't. And the reason we can't is because he can't. If our oneness with him is so strong, it can't be a one-way relationship. We couldn't be that one with him if he were not equally one with us. We can't be that close if he is distant. We know that from marriage. So what did we learn at Mount Sinai? We discovered many things about ourselves. We certainly found out what Torah is all about, but we also discovered something about him. Something that was not spoken of. It was part of the secret of Torah. We know that Torah is made up of 4 levels: the simple meaning, the deeper meaning, the hinted meaning, and the secret meaning. What is the secret? There are commandments he hasn't told us yet. He's keeping it secret. No. There are no surprise commandments. What's the secret? The secret is what's in it for him. That doesn't get discussed much. What's in it for us? A lot of talk about that. The reward of the mitzvah and the benefits of being, and the reward in this world and the reward in the world to come, and a lot of talk about the benefits. If you'll keep my commandments, I'll give the rain on time, you will have what to eat, your animals will have what to eat, you will thrive, there will be peace in the land, you will live long on the land. A lot of things. What's in it for us? There's very little said about what's in it for him. That's getting a little close to the heart, that's a little tender, sensitive. God doesn't tell just anybody what's in it for him. Maybe he whispered a little bit of it to Moshe when nobody else was listening. Maybe he told David HaMelech when he was writing the Tehillim a little bit of his investment in all of this. Then he told Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, maybe you should write down some of these secrets. Not too explicit, put it in words that most people don't understand. Write it in Aramaic. And then he whispered a little more of it to the Ari in Sfas. And he said, you think my children need to hear this? Write it down. Tell them. And then the big event, the Baal Shem Tov. God came to the Baal Shem Tov and said, I have no more secrets. Tell him everything. Tell him everything. Just do it right. So he started. And one of the big secrets that the Baal Shem Tov revealed, that when a simple boy comes into a shul on Yom Kippur and is so moved by what he sees, people davening, speaking to God, and he doesn't know how to daven. He doesn't know the words. So he does what he is most comfortable with and most familiar with. He mimics the sound of a rooster. We all know the story. People wanted to throw him out. And the Baal Shem Tov said no. He broke through the gates of heaven more effectively than my prayers. See, he wasn't supposed to tell us that. That was a secret. That God can be so touched by something so primitive, ordinary. Well, first of all, that God can be touched by anything other than angels and tzaddikim, or at least mitzvahs. Making like a rooster is not a mitzvah. And this kid is no tzaddik. That was one of the secrets that you weren't supposed to tell everybody. Why? Come on, figure it out. Next thing you know, you're going to have a whole shul full of people making like a rooster. In some way. If you go and tell people that even if you don't know how to daven, but you make the sound of a rooster, you're great. What effect is that going to have on people? On insensitive people? Say, oh, okay, so I don't have to daven. The real danger is, next thing you know is, we're going to appoint rabbis in communities whose only talent is that they can make like a rooster. Now, that would be a disaster. So basically, the Baal Shem Tov pulled back the curtain just a tiny bit. He dropped a hint. And he said, you know, you do something beautiful, you can make God cry. You can make God cry with tears of pleasure. Ooh, was I supposed to tell you that? That's the secret part of Torah. Not some dangerous information that you can use to blow up the world. That's science fiction. The secret part of Torah is the most sensitive and the most delicate, that people who are not sensitive can really take the wrong way and come to the wrong conclusions and destroy everything. So when the Baal Shem Tov was told that it's time to reveal the secrets, it was a big compliment. It meant that over time, we may not all have become tzaddikim, but we all have developed a sensitivity, and that we can be entrusted with a secret. Entrusted with a secret doesn't mean don't tell anybody. Entrusted with a secret means it should be as difficult for you to say this as it is for me. A secret is so sensitive and so personal and so intimate, it's hard to say it. When I do say it to you, I trust that you will find it hard to say as well. You're not going to treat it like dinner table conversation. So for many, many years, the secret of Torah was passed on only to the most sensitive souls among the scholars. Not all the scholars had this kind of sensitivity. And that was where the danger and the fear was, that if you tell scholars the delicate, sensitive side of God, they're going to take it the wrong way. So the Baal Shem Tov said two things. First of all, when you're just sincere and simple and direct with God, you can make him cry. Secondly, who can do this best? The simple Jew, not the scholar. For the scholar, it's even dangerous to tell him that this is possible. He doesn't have that kind of sensitivity. He won't understand it in God. So when it says in Medrash or in the Zohar that God cries, the insensitive scholar is going to say, well, you know that's not literal, of course, you know. God doesn't cry. Huh? No problem. To the simple Jew, of course God cries. I mean, he's at least as sensitive as me. At least. So for the longest time, these hints that the Torah drops, which are the secrets of Torah, it was dismissed as not being literal. Because to take it literally, you have to be very sensitive. So here's the conclusion. It's a big mistake. It's a destructive mistake to think that our needs are imperative and his, God's, are not. It's backwards. You've got it all upside down. It simply can't be. If my very existence is not imperative, how can my need be imperative? I don't need to live, but I must survive. How does that make any sense? If I wasn't created, there would be no problem. But since I am created, I got to stay alive. I must survive at all costs. No. In other words, how can the existence that is not imperative develop needs that are imperative? How can that be? How can a created being have an imperative need? Doesn't make sense. On the other hand, the creator of the whole universe, he has no imperatives? He who creates the whole world has no imperatives? Nothing must be? Maybe. And that's why until the giving of the Torah, the world was flooded with idolatry. Where did the idolatry come from? The creator of the world, he's got better things to do. What do you think? He pays attention to the grass and makes it grow? He has nothing better to do? He's the creator. He's gone on to bigger and better things. Grass grows when the sun tells it to grow. So worship the sun. That's where your existence depends on. If the sun shines, we got life. Without the sun, we're doomed. Sun worship. What about the Creator? The Creator. The Creator's gone. Maybe. A lot of intelligent people believe that. But when God came down to Mount Sinai, he removed all doubts. This is not a mechanical God, an indifferent God, an insensitive God, an invulnerable God. Listen to what he's telling you. You must say yes. I cannot take no for an answer. Now idolatry is totally inappropriate. And maybe that's the meaning of the first two commandments. I am God, your God, so you can have no other. I am God, your God. I'm obsessed with you. How can you have another God? How can you believe I've gone off to bigger and better things? I haven't. There's nothing bigger and there's nothing better than my relationship with you. So how could you have other gods? It's like God saying, yeah, if you follow my commandments and you're in this with me and we're good, then you won't need a doctor. I'm your doctor. Where you go looking for doctors? I'm your doctor. I'm the healer of all flesh. What are you going to look for another husband? I'm your husband. Can't have any others. I'm there for that. You don't need anything else. So again, before the giving of the Torah, it kind of made sense that you can't really rely on God to give you bread. That's too menial. He's the creator, not the baker. So why in the world would you make a blessing saying, thank you, God, King of the universe, thank God, our God, King of the universe, who makes bread grow from the ground. He doesn't make bread. We're ridiculous. It's the fertility God that makes things grow. The sun makes things grow. The moon controls things, not God. Unfortunately, there are some very good Jews today who still have that attitude. Yeah, you have to thank God for the bread because, he created the land and he created the fertility and he created the sun. So all in all, it's all thanks to him. But he does have bigger and better things to do. So he really, he'll take care of it for you, but it's not imperative. He has no imperative. He can do whatever he wants. So nothing is imperative to him. It's all optional. After all, he's God. That leads to idolatry. If he is not seriously, chronically concerned with me, then I need another God. Because I need somebody who does care. I need somebody who will cry when I do something beautiful. So if it's not God, I'm going to have to go looking. So the anniversary is an awesome anniversary. not just a pleasant memory. It's the day God bared his soul to us. Took a while for us to get it. It was subtle. Everything about God is subtle, because that's how a mensch works. Not vulgar, not crass, not obnoxious, subtle. Those who get it, get it. Those who don't, can't force it down their throat. So slowly, God allowed us to get a bigger and better and deeper peek behind the curtain into his most sensitive, most personal, most intimate reactions, responses. Yeah, he cries. So I'm going to tell you this. If I wanted to create a Baal Shem Tov story, right? A guy calls me after Pesach, and he says, I'm feeling really, really bad. I woke up on the morning of Pesach, and I realized I hadn't bought any matzah. He's all alone. He lives alone in an apartment, and now he's quarantined, so he hasn't left the apartment. And the thought of making Pesach by himself was really scary and sad, pathetic. He actually forgot to buy matzah. So at night, when he needed to make a Seder, he looked around and he found rice cakes. He took 3 rice cakes and he made a Seder. I mean, he made a Seder to the best of his abilities. He had never made a Seder before. He feels really bad that he forgot to buy the matzah. What would the Baal Shem Tov say about this? You see, religious people, you can predict what their reaction would be. He forgot to buy matzah. What kind of Jew is this? He made a Seder over rice cakes. He's Ashkenazi. He shouldn't have bothered. A waste of time. That's not a Seder. He has no business making a Seder. Predictable. What would secular people say? Whatever secular means. Secular people predictably would say, what are you doing? You don't know how to, you're not that religious type. I mean, you didn't even remember to buy matzah. Come on. So what are you doing? You're going to use rice cakes. Skip it. It's a waste of time. It's unnecessary. Just skip it. So you didn't make a Seder. So what? Well, what would the Baal Shem Tov say? The Baal Shem Tov would say, thank you so much. Your Seder is the one that pleased God the most. You made God cry. Where do you find such devotion? Where do you find such selfless devotion? Why in the world would he bother making a Seder? He's got enough problems. All by himself. It's ridiculous. just lost his wife. What's he doing? Feels bad that he forgot to buy the matzah. And this is 3,332 years since some Jew way back then said, yes, we'll do it. And 3,000 years down the line, this Jew feels bad that he didn't do it. God didn't cry? What kind of God is that? So the Baal Shem Tov really exposed God. But that was just the beginning. Since then, Hasidus tells us more and more the secrets of God, the secrets of his sensitivity, of his caring, of his obsession with us, of his dependence on us, and his vulnerability. Yes, we can make him cry. We can make him cry with pleasure. We can make him cry with disappointment. So now we look back at all those places in the Medrash and in the Zohar and where it says God cried, God was hurt, God couldn't take it. And we don't dismiss it as non-literal. We've grown up. We've developed a sensitivity where we can hear God's secrets and we get it. That gives us a whole different perspective on everything. Everything. Like, for example, how can we be so sure Mashiach is coming? We all love the idea. The world will become perfect. There'll be no war. There'll be no pain. There'll be no competition, no ugliness, no greed. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I wish that would happen. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. Because, what, it's going to go on like this with wars and with ugliness and forever? Come on. All very nice, right? But how can you be sure? How can you say with a certainty Mashiach is coming? The secrets of Torah give us a good reason to be sure. Because God can't take this. And if he gets tired of this, he'll put an end to it. So who wants Mashiach most? The creator or the creation? Common sense. Who has a bigger investment? Tikkun Olam? You want to fix the world? Great idea. But who do you think needs Tikkun Olam? We would like. For us, it's not imperative. For him, it's imperative. It's his creation. So Mashiach is going to come? Of course Mashiach is going to come.